Hey, time for another Apple technological throwback from me, Zak Wolf. This time I'm talking about 20 years ago in this date, when Apple came out with the first Intel-based Macintosh computers, starting their transition from the beloved but aging PowerPC systems to Intel chips. The Intel transition was initially announced in June 2005 at that year's Worldwide Developers Conference, with the first Intel-based Macs hitting the market on January 10th, 2006. This surprised many, as back then everyone associated Intel chips with Windows PCs, but it ended up being for the better, since the PowerPC G4 and especially the G5 were becoming a bit too resource intensive and could also get pretty hot. This is why we never saw a PowerBook G5 laptop or anything like that. But instead of incorporating Intel's lower cost Pentium and Celeron processing systems, Apple opted for the somewhat more upscale Intel Core Duo chips for the first publicly available Intel-based Macs, owing to those computers being very popular for graphics and art and media creation. These first two Mac models included the ever-popular iMac all-in-one desktop and the new 15-inch MacBook Pro, which was the Intel successor to the 15-inch PowerBook G4 laptop. The first Intel Macs came in virtually the same white polycarbonate all-in-one casing as their predecessor did. The iMac G5, complete with a built-in iSight webcam, as introduced on the last G5 revision. Also, the I/O ports are all horizontally arranged on the bottom left of the back panel, like on the iSight model iMac G5s. As the previous no webcam models had the ports vertically arranged on the left side of the back panel, leading to some criticism. Anyways, this is the lowest end model of the original Intel Core Duo iMac offerings, with a 17-inch LCD display, a 1.83 GHz Core Duo processor, 160 GB hard drive, DVD burning super drive, and an ATI Radeon 1600 graphics card with 128 megabytes of dedicated video RAM. I also maxed out the system RAM from the original 512 megabytes to 2 gigabytes. And when I got this from a previous computer tech job, after securely wiping the hard drive and then taking it home with me, I went and installed this, the late 2010 Mac box set. You see, in the waning years of Apple selling Mac OS versions and software on physical disks, you could buy this Mac box set, including the latest version of Mac OS X and the iLife and iWork suites, at a better deal than buying all of them separately. And as such, back in 2010, this Mac box set could make this early 2006 Core Duo iMac like new again, provided the RAM was also upgraded to support it like I did so, of course. The 15-inch MacBook Pro here, I also upgraded the RAM from 512 megabytes to 2 gigabytes. It was a slightly custom build-to-order model, first offered as an option February 2016 with an even faster 2.16 GHz Core Duo processor, along with the RAM maxed out to 2 gigabytes and a 256 gigabyte solid-state drive I installed to replace the original spinning hard drive, which would have been around just 100 gigabytes. It also has a DVD burning super drive, but I can't write dual-layer DVDs on it the way the iMac can. But like my Core Duo iMac, this does also have an ATI Radeon 1600 graphics card, but with 256 megabytes of dedicated video RAM. And why not? The PowerBook G4 and the MacBook Pro are often seen as a more mid-range product than the iMac, especially for those who like to do intensive graphics or video work. But in comparing the MacBook Pro of its PowerPC predecessor, the 15-inch aluminum PowerBook G4, there's more changes aside from the switch from a PowerPC G4 chip to an Intel Core Duo system. For one, this is the first Mac laptop to have a built-in iSight webcam right there, taking a cue from the iMac. And it also replaced the Type 1 or 2 expansion card slot with an Express Card 34 expansion slot, removed the internal modem and S-Video out and FireWire 800 ports, the latter apparently because Apple and Intel initially only supported FireWire 400 with these early Intel Macs, and it also replaced the older power jack with a brand new MagSafe power connector, designed to magnetically connect, so if someone were to accidentally trip over the cable, it safely popped out of the Mac like this. You like that? I'm glad Apple reintroduced MagSafe as part of the Intel to Apple Silicon transition for their Macs early this decade. And this one here, I also installed that Mac box set on. There it goes. See how easy MagSafe is? That's why I appreciate it. Yeah, but that one I also installed the Mac box set on so it can run macOS 10.6 Snow Leopard. This brings to mind a shortcoming with these early Intel iMacs. They were still 32-bit systems. It wasn't until September 2006 when the Macs refreshed again with Intel's then new 64-bit Core Duo chips. But the older 32-bit Core Duo Macs like these could only run up to macOS 10.6 Snow Leopard, as that was the last version that could support the 32-bit Intel Core Duo Macs. Also being the last one to include the Rosetta transition layer for running Mac software previously designed for PowerPC systems. Even Microsoft Office 2004 was originally PowerPC only, and thus required Rosetta to run on these new Intel Macs until Office 2008 came out and was made a universal software suite, the term used for Mac software that natively supports both PowerPC and Intel systems. Then with the recent Intel to Apple Silicon transition, Apple revived that name with Rosetta 2, the transition layer for running Intel software on the M-series chip Macs. I'm not sure how much longer it'll stick around, though, but hopefully for a while, as I still use some macOS software that hasn't been made in universal versions yet, but it's been a gradual process. As such, with these two Core Duo Macs, I pretty much treat them in my collection the same way as I treat my PowerPC Macs, running fairly old macOS versions along with the appropriate software for some situations for fun throwback purposes. But the difference is that they can each do things the other cannot. Like my PowerPC Macs running macOS 10.4 Tiger having the classic mode for running macOS 9 software. And the Core Duo Macs here, like this one, they can run the redesigned version of iMovie officially from the late 2000s and early 2010s. Yeah, like I've used for a while in the early 2010s. Especially when they added back the rubber band style audio volume editing, a few other useful features, and some fun new ones like the trailer creator. Anyways, this iMac and MacBook Pro ushered in a new era for Apple's Macintosh computers, now using Intel chips that proved to be faster and more energy efficient than their PowerPC predecessors. Near the end of February, an Intel Mac Mini was introduced, the baseline model being the only Intel Mac with a single core processor, using the Intel Core Solo chip. Soon, a 17-inch Intel MacBook Pro came out, and then in May, Apple finally replaced the iBook G4 line with the similar polycarbonate MacBooks, one of their most popular laptops for years. I should know, such one like this was my very first Intel Mac way back when. Finally, the transition was completed faster than anticipated when the Power Mac G5 was replaced with the first Mac Pro tower in August 2006. Apple was initially hoping to complete the PowerPC to Intel transition by early 2008, like how history repeated itself a bit with the Intel to Apple Silicon transition, beginning in November 2020 and finishing by 2023, again with the Mac Pro, probably because it was the first M-chip Mac with PCI expansion slots. I've had this M1 chip MacBook Air for close to 5 years now. Because of the Apple Silicon transition, this Air was now almost as powerful as the baseline M1 chip MacBook Pro, especially with the 8-core graphics and the 60 gigabytes of RAM like mine here. And as such, it's still my fastest and most powerful Mac on hand, at least until sometime in the future when I get a Pro chip Mac Mini or something. But I guess this sums up this technological retrospective, if you will. So you guys keep on watching this channel to see whatever I show up next.